It's minicamp and OTA season. Today we're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we're getting a good look at Kaleb Johnson. We're going to watch him work through some drills, catch some balls, everything else. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're looking at practice every day. Rookie camp, minicamp, OTAs, soon-to-be training camp, workouts even, interviews. If you want to know what your rookies are doing behind the scenes, it's going to be right here. If you want to know what your favorite players are doing on your favorite team, it's going to be right here. You're getting ready to draft some of these players soon in fantasy football. You want to know what they're up to? It's going to be right here. Click that button. Stop missing out. You need to know what these players are doing. Here we go. We're looking at Kaleb Johnson. 3 minutes of clips. Let's roll. We'll loop this and keep talking ball, but here we are. Here we are. Looking solid. There we go. Again, just working on the drill. Looks like now it's our turn. Look how long he is. Long arms. Boom. Coming to a head. There it is. Long, but we got some size on him. You see that? Very good vision, good approach to the line of scrimmage, good in the open field when it comes to just his interpretation of reading momentum in the open field. Good at breaking things off the opposite way. And a guy that can handle a lot of work. That is the one thing Mike Tomlin said about him. And you can just definitely see that with his build. A guy that can handle a lot of work. A guy that's really built for Steelers football. Honestly. He's got a little pop there in the step. There he is. Moves well. Long running back prospect. He's got good size, though. Physical. He's a grinder. He's a grinder that can give you a little bit more. That's the one thing about this. Steelers got a good discount in the draft with him. Getting him in the 3rd round of this year's draft when he was forecasted to go in the 2nd. There were some sites that had him in the 3rd, but he was up there throughout the process. Some people had him as like the RB2 in this year's class. Some people had him like the RB5, 6, 7, 8 range. It's just a very deep, talented running back class. This is the deepest running back class of all time. Like, this is a running back class that's going to transform the NFL. This NFL is going to be looking different at the running back position in the next 6 months to 2 years. Like, it's just for sure going to be looking different. Like, the running back position in the NFL, due to this class, is going to change. That is going to happen. And one of the modicums here for that is Kaleb Johnson. And with the Steelers, we're always wondering who's the next running back going to be. They don't have the next running back until now, and that's Kaleb Johnson. Jaylen Warren's going to be a good bridge for the short term. He is going to be a good bridge for the short term until that moment happens, and you got Kaleb Johnson back there who's evidently going to end up taking the full load. That's going to happen sooner than later, and it's going to be sometime this year, if not next year. Watch the feet, moving laterally well. The big question here isn't really his talent. We know he's talented from Iowa. We know that. But it's the quarterback position. Right now, it's very ambiguous. Like, can we keep the chains moving? Can we do that? Or are we going to draft a quarterback in next year's draft? And we draft one of those guys, and that's our future. Is that going to happen? Are we going to get a Klubnik or something? Klubnik. Whatever. What's going to happen in next year's draft? Like, are we going to be in position to get one of those quarterbacks? Is Mason Rudolph going to take a step forward? They're looking to use him immensely, touch after touch after touch. That was what Mike Tomlin said. That's what they liked about him. They can grind out a lot of touches with him. That's what I like about him as well. Very good running back prospect. Very good running back prospect here. The quarterback position, upside-wise for his production, that's going to optimize it if we can get right there. Jaylen Warren, not forgotten about. Good bridge. He's a rookie still. A good bridge for the rookie. But still, another thing you want to think about here, going over his entire career, this guy was down there in the recruiting rankings. It wasn't the most sought-after running back prospect in his recruiting class. We almost went to UCLA, but we decided to go to Iowa instead. We go to Iowa, and initially as a freshman, we take a stranglehold of that offense. We rushed for 700 some yards. We're looking good. The next year we head up with an injury. The next running back up plays well. But that next running back that comes up, that does play well, has to transfer out the next year because they know it's Kaleb Johnson's job. Like, he ain't stealing that from him. He knows he's not better than Kaleb Johnson. Even though he was nicked up with an injury, he was on the shelf. Then this year, 2024, Kaleb Johnson puts the stamp on things. One of the top running backs in all of college football. He lets it known. He lets it known, and now we're here. Now we are here. And we're with the Steelers. And now they've got their big physical running back. And what I mean by that is a running back that they're going to lean on heavy, getting a lot of work, a lot of touches, catching the ball out of the backfield. Now, Iowa, if you look at the counting stats, wasn't up there. But you got to understand, the top receiver on that team only had 47 targets. That is vastly low. That is very lower percentile. Like, lower as in, like, 10th percentile among top wide receivers on a team compared to other wide receivers on other college. That's low. Like 80, 90 is acceptable, and usually around 90, 100 range is where top wide receivers are at on their team. 47. So at the running back position, you should expect a little less, but honestly, it was fine that final year. It was fine. And he was also getting so much work running the ball that honestly, you should allow him to get a little bit of breather in the passing game. He was the offense. They weren't getting anything done in the passing game. They didn't have any threats there. So defenses could just load the box against him and just wait on him because they know he was getting the ball, and that was the only thing that could beat him. That's the thing about that. When you're looking at Iowa, that was the only thing that could beat him on that team. So you just loaded the box up, you plugged all the gaps, and there you go. That's the one thing you were looking at. And that's what you're going to be looking at with the Steelers. So it's not like he's not used to this, having a not-so-good quarterback. It's not like we got Patrick Mahomes back there. I know some of you guys are excited about the battle, what you got here between Will Howard and Mason Rudolph, Steeler fans. I know you're excited about that. I know you're gritty about that. But it's not Patrick Mahomes. It's not Jalen Hurts. It's not even Dak Prescott. You're going to have to wait things out, see what happens at the quarterback position. Maybe you got Aaron Rodgers. That's enough to facilitate enough for these running backs to get a little bit more production. I look for him to get to a point we start getting a lot of carries, and that's going to be functional for fantasy football to an extent. And it all is dependent on that quarterback position and whether or not we can continuously move the chains. I think we're going to get to the point where we're going to be a good running back in fantasy. I think to optimize his production, we got to get that quarterback position right. Optimize as in being a top 5 producer. That is in his game. Being one of the top running backs in the league. That is in there. I think we really got to get right here on the offense. I think we can be one of the top running backs in the league in terms of touches and opportunities. And I think that's really going to rear its head in 2026. Back into 2025, maybe. That's going to rear its head. But you got a big physical running back. They've mentioned, we've covered that they're looking to use him a lot. That's what they liked about him when they drafted him. But you're looking at Kaleb Johnson here, ton of upside. Let me know what you think in the comments below and hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.